So everyone, thank you for joining the AFT Town Hall. My name is Sarah D. Merchant, and I have with me a wonderful slate of representatives who have um, a experience, if you will, in regards to our education system, the impact of COVID, and the direction forward to make sure that everyone in our community is safe. Our safety comes first, as well as making sure that we're educating the next generation. So what I would like to do is first start off, and I will start with Glenda, just for your name, an introduction of yourself, what your role is, and then we'll kind of go through everyone that's on the panel today.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Glenda McCall. I am the president of Fort Bend American Federation of Teachers. I've been in this role for about just a little over a year. Prior to that, I was a teacher for 12 years in Fort Bend ISD, and I'm a lifelong resident of Fort Bend.
Okay, and let's go with Floresia.
You're on mute, darling.
She can't turn off mute, is what she's saying.
Oops.
So we need Rob or Anthony to.
I'm unmuted now. Thank you. I've been putting it in the chat. I'm Floresia Berry. This is my 23rd year as a teacher and my 16th in Fort Bend. I teach in elementary school here in Fort Bend district.
Thank you, thank you. And let's go to Judge George.
Thank you, everyone. I mean, it's absolutely an honor and privilege to spend some time with you guys, and thank you for all you do, and especially, talking about teachers. And, I always say this, some of the professions in our country, unfortunately, they don't pay for what they do. And teachers happen to be one profession. We don't, how do you put a price tag on what they do for our children? And so, and I always used to, as a school board member, go to the meet with teachers, and I always say that you cannot do this for money. And then I ask them, how do I know? How do I know? They all look at me like, how do you know? I said, my wife is a teacher. And I always used to say, we have a joint account too, so we know how much coming in there. So we talk about it, but I really appreciate you are dedicating your life to educate our children, and I'm honored to serve the 10th largest county in the state of Texas. It's absolutely an honor and privilege. Last 6 months was life-changing for me. I'm a better person than 6 months ago, I tell you that, because I have seen things, people playing politics, people playing garbage, like not caring for life, and people losing money and, about to close down the restaurants, but cooking and bringing food to, our first responders. So I have seen both sides. And so very honored to serve Fort Bend. Fort Bend is a unique place, and glad to be here.
Thank you, Judge George. And again, everyone, I am Sarah D. Merchant, the Democratic candidate for Texas House District 26. I am very humbled and honored to have the endorsement of AFT. I'd like to jump right into our line of questioning. I also would like to acknowledge on the call with us, we have Rob and Anthony, who are helping to moderate and help technically. So thank you all very much for your help and support in coordinating and managing today's event. So I'd like to start the first question geared to Floresia. As an educator, what are your concerns about going back on-campus instruction, and what would make you feel more at ease to go back to on-campus instruction?
My biggest concern is safety, actually, because I don't see a comprehensive plan of how we're going to be safe. To me, all of the talk is in theory. We don't have a concrete plan. How are we going to socially distance children who don't naturally social distance anyway? And is there going to be enough protective gear for staff? I don't know that to be true. I know that some staff is already back on campus, and it's not equitable across the district of how much PPE they said we would have. So that concerns me. And I have people on my campus who are of a certain age and they're in that group where they're at risk. And right now, I also sit on the board of the union, and right now their concern to me is what do I do? So I have some who wanted to make it to a milestone, maybe teach 25 years, maybe be a paraprofessional for 25 years, but now they're afraid because I know that there is a plan, and I'm concerned if what data are we going to follow when we make that decision? Because we're told we're going to follow the data, but are we going to follow the data of the state? Are we going to follow the data of the county? Are we going to hold true to that data? So that makes me nervous as well.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And I'd like to ask the, of Glenda and KP, Judge George, excuse me. So what are you two hearing from the teachers as well? I'll open it to Glenda first, and then maybe we'll go to Judge George.
Well, what I'm hearing from the teachers is exactly what Floresia was speaking to. The majority of our time now is it's been really just giving guidance to teachers on how they can navigate the systems that are in place to protect themselves. So those teachers who are, like Floresia said, in a certain age, or if they have medical conditions or family members that have medical conditions, because that's a risk too. You could be perfectly healthy, but if you're caring for your elderly parents or you're caring for a sickly child, then you have those additional concerns with bringing the virus back home. And additionally, what I'm hearing is not only they're concerned about the safety, about keeping themselves and their families and the children, the children safe. They don't want to see their children their students getting sick either. But additionally, there's just a lot of uncertainty around going back. There are protocols in place that some of the people that have gone back are not seeing that are being followed. And that's not necessarily a systems problem. That's kind of a mindset problem for those who have gone back. And so we have to understand that this is a policy that's put into place to protect everyone. This is not a political issue. And I think that some people are approaching it that way, and it should not be. This is a safety issue. Additionally, the bottom line is teachers want to go back. They do.
I know.
The online system is extremely difficult. It is very difficult. I've had teachers call me crying because of the amount of time that it takes to navigate this, and that their kids are just not getting it, and they're still not in touch with, or can't stay in touch with a lot of the kids. It's just not a good vehicle, and everybody agrees that. Everybody agrees that online teaching is not the best choice. They want to be in class. They want to be back with their kids, but they want to be safe. You can't teach if you're too sick or you're not alive to teach. And so they don't want to give up their careers either. Like you said before, teachers are not in this for the money or the fame or the glory. There's none of that involved in it. They're in it because, and this is even speaking from my own heart, they're in it because of the joy of seeing a child's face when they get it, the ability to touch a child's life and know that you've had a little part in helping them succeed. It's not even so much about the academics. It's about having that personal connection with the kids and seeing them grow just from the relationship. And that's all we miss it. We miss that when you're doing this online. And that's so much more than just the academics. It's the relationship, and it's everything else that teachers include in their teaching. But they want to be able to keep their families safe as well, themselves and their families. So
Understood.
it's a difficult decision.
Understood. It shouldn't be a choice. The educators should be able to go to work and not fear for their own health and safety. How can you do a great job if you're concerned for your own health and life and that of your loved ones on a day-to-day basis? And I want to turn it over for Judge George to answer the same question, but I'm going to add on a question for you, Judge George. So the original question was, and I know that you've worked with many of the administrators around the county, so I want you to answer, What are you hearing from teachers from the districts, plural, well, the districts in the area? And how can the county support a safe reopening of schools?
Um, thank you, Sarah. As you know, education is very close to my heart. I was a school board member for Fort Bend ISD for close to 5 years, and
Yeah.
as you know, the school board, it's a volunteer position, and so I every second of it, I enjoyed it, and I learned so much from it. I'm a better person because of that. And so when I came to the county, I realized we don't have a direct role when it comes to education. The school district, that's why it's called independent school districts. They decide, or TEA, or the State Board of Education, especially TEA, have a say in what do you do and how you do it. And so otherwise it is locally controlled, 7 board members, we all know it, and superintendent. And so, but what we did is we did numerous Facebook Live events with different school districts. We brought superintendents together and different, based on their availability, they are busy people. We brought different administrators, and in many cases the superintendents came on board, and we spent time to talk to people, because this is something unprecedented. We are really navigating through, and there is so much unknown. People ask me, hey, what happened? What is happening, and how is it going? And I'm like, as of right now, this is what is happening. 10 minutes later, it is going to be different, because it was always a moving target when it comes to people. When it comes to this situation, COVID is something, it's a different animal by itself. So everybody is trying to learn. But we had numerous conversations with superintendents. And also one thing, even though county doesn't control, how school operate and how school do their business, and most part, I believe most of the school districts were very responsive to us, and also we have something. County is the health authority for that county, and we have a health and human services director directly in charge of the activities going on in any entity in the county. And so our health and human services director is Dr. Jacqueline Minter, and she was working with unbelievably hardworking, and she works 7 days a week. And and sad thing about, sometime I think about, she came on board February 1st, and this big bomb was dropped into her lap and say, oh, go deal with it. And so she did, and she's doing an amazing job. And we talk almost every day, and there's so much going on. So what we understand as of now, and I understand these concerns, and Floresia rightfully mentioned, because you're scared. You don't know what to expect, and you never did anything like this. And we know that when the flu season comes, it is flu. We need to do certain things, but this is very different. So answer your question, Dr. Minter worked with, I believe, most of the school districts, and especially I just wanted to comment, Fort Bend ISD Superintendent Charles Dupree and his team, as far as I understand, they work very closely with Dr. Minter, and they are actually in contact constantly and working together as far as creating a plan for the safe opening, and Dr. Minter is every step of the way with them. And so being said that, but still end of the day, it is the school district is the one deciding how they're going to do it. And I think they responsibly didn't open, didn't open the school, as planned earlier. And, now maybe next week or beyond, they will be doing that. And by the way, I just wanted to announce today, I announced, or we decided to lower the threat level in Fort Bend County. Now it's no more red. And I announced that at the Commissioner's Court, we changed it to orange, which doesn't mean we could go home and everything is over, but things are looking good in Fort Bend County. The hospitalization rate is going down. Per 100 test results kind of, kind of coming down, and also and also we are doing less testing, not because we don't want to, but there is less people getting tested. And so there's a lot of good things happening as far as COVID is concerned. The concern is real, and it is there, and especially school. I don't even know how we 100% successfully do that. And so I'm sure they're exploring different options, but I just keep talking, and you all need to ask questions and talk. So I will come back, and I have so many things to talk about. And so we are constantly in contact with the school district. Simply, we are not there to decide anything, but simply saying that we are here to help. If you wanted to buy, more PPE, we could give you money, and we are willing to, help you with CARE Act money. And so anything we can do to support the school system, that's our role. We don't have a say in what they do, but we always make sure they understand we are here to help. We are here standing by to help. And Dr. Minter is working with almost all school districts about their reopening.
That's wonderful, Judge George. Thank you so much. Now, another question that I would love to run by Floresia. There is a concern about remote learning not being adequately what's needed to meet the students' needs. How is the district tackling those concerns around equity? And I want, Glenda, I want you to chime in on that as well. But at least in the classroom, what is your experience with the students at this time?
My experience has been great with the kids online, but I've been at my campus, for a little while, and I've taught a lot of siblings. So the parents know who I am, and they trust me. But it can be very challenging because, like Glenda mentioned, it is a lot of work if you want to do it and do it correctly. Now, we have in here in the district where some people are working like 12-hour days to get it done, and some people are working a few hours. But I'm a person who, we're online. I don't want to be online. The kids probably don't want to be online, but it's what we have. And so I think that the district has done a great job of fine-tuning what we did wrong, well, not necessarily wrong, but what we could have done better from the spring. So we do have some things in place that are totally working, that are better than what happened in the spring, because they listened to the parents, what the parents wanted. They wanted like immediate feedback, and we were giving feedback, and we were, some people were and some people weren't giving immediate feedback. But when you think about your time that you have to spend online, the time that it takes you to prep those lessons, the time that you want to flip those lessons to make them engaging, to keep the kids, kind of like in a situation of being in school, it can be very timely because that feedback takes time. I know for myself, when I don't see work getting turned in, I'll give a few days, but after about that second day, it makes me nervous. So I spent the better part I started at about 4:30 calling parents, and I did not put down the phone until about 8:30. I can do that. My son is grown. I don't have anybody here. But you got to think about the family who also has kids, and those kids are in the district, and that mom or dad has to, see. So I don't know how we can all balance it out. Nobody's going to be all the way happy, but I do think that the systems in place, as far as the learning management system, as far as the conferencing, we're all learning it, and the kids are learning it. But I think after about a 2-week period, it'll be a little smoother, but it's not the ideal situation if you want to do it and do it right. Because it's going to take you a lot of time to get it done.
Understood. And then how has the district been tackling the concerns around equity?
So first, I wanted to say Ms. Floresia is an expert. I know that a lot of people have been going to her, and she knows her stuff. Boy, she can teach it well. So we're really privileged and happy and blessed to have her as not just part of our team, but part of the district. So she's an expert when it comes to all of, especially the technical stuff. So she knows her stuff. But you know, I think what really is what is important to understand is that education is not just, the school district is not just about the academics. There's so much more that goes into education than just the academics. So it's not as easy as just putting up a video and getting the kids to watch the video and answering some questions, you know? So that in itself is challenging enough in order to keep the child engaged and to be able to reach them through all their learning styles. That's just one aspect of education. When you talk about the personal connection, that relationship that teachers build with their students and when they build with their parents, that goes beyond just the academics into developing the whole child, developing even sometimes the families. And what you have to keep in mind is that a lot of the students who are not being reached or maybe struggling might be struggling because they don't have the support systems at home. Think about the kind of the parents that are out, that there are essential workers, the medical workers, the clerks, the store clerks, the restaurant workers. All of these people that are essential workers are not going to be there to support their children. And so not because they don't want to, but because they just can't. And so in a school setting, the kids are with you and you have them with you. And so you engage in not just the education process, but the process of being a young little human and developing into a member of society that entails so much more than just teaching them how to fill out some, you know, teaching them how to pass a test, you know, because education is so much more than that. And if we could get the officials up high to understand that education is so much more than a test, we would really be doing great. So we're not even going to go into that. But as far as what Fort Bend has been doing, I do think as far as reaching out and getting the materials to them, getting them devices that they need, trying to get them the hotspots that they need, I think they've done a good job of making those things available.
I would agree with that.
The problem is that you're dealing with different dynamics in families, and not everybody has the same situation. And so when everybody is in one place, you can deal with those situations. But when the different families are spread out, you now have to deal with that extension of trying to reach out and support them. And that's just much more difficult. And I don't think it's a matter of the district not doing the right thing. I think they are really trying to do the right thing. I think it's just education, you need teachers. You have to have teachers that are there and that form those relationships. And you know, that's the bottom line. Education is not just showing a video and filling out a worksheet. It is so much more.
You know, right. My daughter is a product of Fort Bend Schools. And so I went through this transition, and I have worked as a pre-sales consultant throughout my IT career. And in there, I would give presentations and demonstrations on threat management software. Well, when it's time to go roll out the software and configure it in a production environment, it's a massive effort that has an official project manager and a lot of Q&A testers to make sure that you're getting exactly what you need on the outside. So it was nothing short of a miracle that I saw how much work teachers transferred from the classroom in person to online to actually being in a useful format to have impact. And I thought, oh my, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine the amount of hours it took to do that conversion from in
Still taking
to online. And that's happening every week because the assignments change. Whereas in the technology space, it's one snapshot, it's done, it's configured, but every week, and this is not an area of which anyone really went to school on. So everyone is in uncharted territory trying to do the best. I also would say as a parent, watching the emails come across, I did like the way that Fort Bend ISD also remembered from the very beginning that there are children who may not have equity, who may not have home devices to use or speedy internet access that
Mhm.
unstable bandwidth, how can we still make sure that they are not being left behind? And so I did like the school was considering that and trying to keep the playing field level so that we could all our children, and we just have to be patient because everyone is trying to feel their way through something that none of us could have expected. Um, so what do teachers feel about the virtual options available, and where are they still seeing a need for support to make it work better for them? And I'll start it with you, Floresia. Thank you for all that you do. What is it you need for this to work better for you? And then I'll turn it over to Glenda to ask that, because we have Judge George here, right? What else is needed so that everyone has what they need as we try to feel our way through this uncharted territory? Floresia?
I'm going to say that the devices was number one, because I say all the time when we start talking about this pandemic, when I think about, I'm from Mississippi, from a single mom with 4 kids. If this pandemic had happened when I was a child, there is no way all 4 of us could have even began to get our work done. We had no computer. So as far as when it comes to that type of equity, okay, well, we can offer the devices, but you have kids of different experiences. So is what I want to say. So a lot of the tools that you might want to use, like your Microsoft Word, they they don't have that on a home computer. Or, you know, if they get a district computer, if they're not logged in a certain way, then they can't download something. So I think, I don't know, and it requires a lot of typing. And I teach on an elementary campus. We have not taught keyboarding. So I'm finding ways around that though. But it's the time that you would have to spend. I spend my nights looking at YouTube, looking at different ways to do the same task. So I just found out I can have my kids to transcribe in a document, but do they have Microsoft Word? It's available through the district, but then they don't have the experience to handle it all. And the parents don't have that level of education where they can, you know, support. So I do like the fact that the district did build in some intervention time so that I can just kind of meet with those kids at that time just to walk them through the technology. So we can provide the devices, yes, and the device comes with the technology, but if they have no understanding of how to manipulate it, that's the challenge. And we all, like you said, we all come from different backgrounds of our comfortableness with the technology. So we have some teachers who are willing to say, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I can watch a video and I can learn it and then I can transform it. But we have to think about, we have of all ages and educational backgrounds in the district. So that's been a challenge. And so I think they try to like streamline. We're going to only use these particular, you know, apps or these particular applications to do the work, but it's still challenging for homes who are not, you know, who normally would not have. This may be their first time even having technology in their homes. So if they could have gotten, I guess, some kind of training or some kind of support, maybe there's a support or a hotline or something kids could call just for those types of questions. Because the teacher is, like Glenda said, we're working on the relationship and the academic, but what technical support can students be offered, like after, you know, after 4 o'clock, after we're all gone, after we're not checking our emails anymore? What could there be some type of support provided for those kids?
Great point. Great point.
And then to layer on top of that, you add the different circumstances that the kids in the community have. And when I talk about different circumstances, I'm talking about the homeless and foster children. And, you know, let's just be real, those kids that are in abusive situations. You know, a lot of those kids, and we know we have them, come to school for safety, and they come to school to get fed, and they come to school because it's a safe place where they feel safe. They get that love and support that they maybe don't get at home. Another segment of the population we need to not ignore our immigrant population and our undocumented. I know, being a former bilingual teacher, I know that we have an undocumented population, and that needs to be addressed, and they are legally entitled to an equitable education, just like everybody else. And so their needs cannot be ignored. And what I find, and I have found in the past from experience, is that those parents, those families, are more hesitant to come forward and ask for help. They're more hesitant to come forward and ask for the devices. That's even if they understand that they're entitled to them, because there's language barriers there as well. And so once you can get past the language barrier, then there's a whole a fear factor that you have to take into consideration, especially in the current political climate that we have. And so I don't know what the district is doing to reach out. I know from experience from being a bilingual teacher that the teachers who service those children, they build relationships with those families and they reach out to them. But if those relationships haven't already been established, then I fear that you're going to have a whole segment of students that, and in many cases that are citizens of this country that are being denied an equitable education just because they don't have access to the information and they're fearful of getting access to the material. And then aside from that, I think there's a whole child care issue. Again, when we talk about the parents who are essential workers who cannot stay home and support their children, there has to be some sort of mechanism that maybe perhaps the county can look into to provide some sort of services that either free or very inexpensive that's available maybe through the libraries. And I know I've heard that there are such systems, but I've also heard those systems sometimes tend to be scarce just because of the sheer need in the community. So those are the things that I would look into when it comes to the services that the county and the school district can work on together.
Okay, and that's a good segue into Judge George. And I was going to ask, how can the county help in these efforts? And then Judge George, what do you need from the state level to help you be able to continue to add value locally to meet the needs of the school district?
What I need from state, I will send you a long list of items, once you get there, you realize, because one of the biggest problem in our education system is not certain people not valuing the public education. And that's a big problem. And I see that. I talk to a lot of people like that, and they feel like, this thing failed and the only way we can be successful is my uncle and auntie can start a school. That's the only way we can be successful. And so again, that's a whole different discussion for a different day. And as you know, county, and you mentioned, Glenda, about, children being safe at school. I never thought about it, until last 6 months. And we come to find out, domestic abuses, domestic violence, and child abuses, those kind of stuff substantially went up in numbers. And so when we had conversation about it, that is so true. And another thing is, we have, when the school is open, these children get maybe at least one healthy meal. And when the summer comes, there is no meal. These people, I never even thought about these things, much. But we have county, thankfully, have a program for the summer meal. And, even when we need to reauthorize because of COVID, it was a politically split vote on it. And that is where you need to understand, how far apart we are as a nation came, about these challenges, these issues. And also we have, when it comes to, I know that there's a number of people in our county is, like maybe a month away, 15 days away from kicked out of their apartments or, homes. And that's the very reason why we decided we have to have some kind of a rental assistance program and also utility assistance program. And I tell you this, it was, Huh?
Is that through CARES?
Yes, it is Care Act. And so I tell you that it's so, it's just mind-boggling. It was a politically split vote to approve that. And it is unbelievable how people look at these things. But thank God we had 3 members. So we have that program going on in Fort Bend County. And also we reached out to our school districts, and if anything they need, only problem is any kind of Care Act money. We can only spend for a direct expense arised because of COVID. And so buying PPE or, protection, equipments and all those stuff. And we did offer to the school districts. And I believe, I don't know the details, how much they took it, maybe they are. I don't know all the details in front of me, but we offered, if you wanted to go buy additional PPEs or additional any kind of arrangement you have to make to safely open the school, and that can potentially qualify to be part of CARE Act support. And the county, I tell you wholeheartedly, we will support that request from any school district. And we reached out to every school district and offered it. And I'm sure they are taking advantage of it, at least most part. So talking about childcare, and I know that it is a real issue. And I'm still navigating to find out how we can play a role in it, because sometimes when it comes to government, it is, and also having a government who can understand these problems exist, and the members who understand. How could somebody vote against a rental assistance program? But they did. And so how could you vote against a child nutrition program? But they did. So the thing about it is, anything we try to do, and I'm willing to listen from you, the need, and I'm willing to go and have conversation with the concerned parties. And I'm here. I always said, whenever I talk to the schools, and I always said, I'm here to help and support. And I know that I don't have any say in what you do and what you should do or what you should not do. But I always said this, always remember, anything we can do to help and support the school district. Because simply, when we talk about 820 or 830,000 citizens of our county, and that includes our children. And they are our children. Of course, maybe they go to Fort Bend ISD or Lamar ISD or somewhere, but they are county's children. And I will always stand by to do anything we can do to help. But the government has many times, there are their own limitations. So that's why we like to hear definitely what exactly you expect. You mentioned about the child care assistance and things of that nature. That's something I can have a conversation with our auditor or somebody like that, or find out is there anything county government can do to support. But otherwise, the rental assistance, the utility assistance, and small business grant program, that all we are doing to simply to help people who are struggling because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Judge George. So my next question is for Floresia and Glenda. What are some of your concerns, and what are some of the feedback on concerns are you getting from parents? Like reopening at the school as opposed to online. Are parents communicating their concerns there?
Communicating that through a survey through the school, but I know coming in the next week or so, they're going to then go and choose face-to-face and online. And we can't really, I understand the issue because you can't really plan without a number. Mm-hmm. So you would have to know, how many students you're going to have in order to make it do the logics of it all. But as far as, I think I'm in a unique situation because the parents know me and, I have a relationship with them. So definitely some are afraid, to go back to face-to-face. I'm afraid for some people that I know, people who I know who live, take care of their parents, or, take care of their kids. But the parents are not necessarily, I do know some parents took their kids and put them in other schools because they wanted face to face. And but there's, people are nervous. I do follow another group, and I see all the concerns on that page as well. And they just say when they think it's time, when they have the data, official data, not just from the school district. So that's their concern. Like, are we making decisions based on just like Judge George says, that's separate. They're independent. They can make their own decisions, but they're nervous about what data will we follow, what numbers will we follow. And as the judges said, our rating is coming down to an orange, which makes me happy because I was nervous to go to work when it was red. But and I think those parents, they feel the same way. We're all about going back to school, but everybody just wants to be safe. So it makes me happy to hear Judge George says that the county could provide funds for PPE, because that's like my major concern. Are we going to have enough? Is it going to be equitable across the district, not just this school? Are we going to all be protected in the same way? And what we know so far is that politics is being played in schools. Because you feel like we don't need a mask, then you may not wear your mask. And that's a big concern for me, because it needs to be whatever it is. If it's wear a mask, if it's wear a face shield, if it's change your gloves, it needs to be all across, and nobody should be able to choose. And I think that makes the parents nervous too, because their question always is to me, like, they'll ask me, how are you going to make sure the kids are keeping their mask on? And I don't have an answer for that, because all I can say is keep your mask on. At the end of the day, what else can I do if they decide not to wear it?
Yeah, I will add, I like to add, Floresia rightfully said, I wanted to add there something. Yeah, we are, things are looking in the right direction simply because we were wearing masks, we were socially distancing, we are not gathering in big numbers. That is why it is happening. I always say this is not the time to put your guard down. And, that's where the challenge is, because the school, I don't know how you control little children. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, I have no idea. When you have a average elementary school in Fort Bend ISD, anywhere from 800 to 1,000, some schools, and elementary school up to 1,200 children. How do you control these little babies running around? And I really cannot even comprehend how you do that. My point is, but at the same time, we wanted to even go down from orange to down, and yellow and all that stuff. So we cannot put the guard down at this point, and we have to continue to do what we are doing. And so that's one thing. Yeah, I continue to say this. If somebody is not getting a proper PPE supply and things of that nature, you need to ask for it. And so, like we always told the school district, they have certain assets available to buy these, but they don't have enough, then county is willing to support. And I think still there is money available, and if they need it. And so it is their duty to go and, request that asset available and money available to utilize it, so that, but I just wanted to say this, the conversation I had with mainly Fort Bend ISD and other school districts, they are equally concerned about teacher safety. And I remember Charles Dupree saying, Dr. Dupree was saying, you know what, if I don't have any teachers, then what? Then what? Okay. And so they put teachers' safety first. That's why they didn't go back to school from day one. And so I just tell you, they are doing a lot of things. And also when you have 78,000 or 80,000 kids, and KDISD have 85,000 kids, that is, city of Missouri City only has 76,000 people. Okay, so it's a major undertaking they are doing under the circumstances. I believe I'm not there, I'm not inspecting, I'm not looking what they're doing, but I believe they are doing a lot of work behind the scene to make things better and safe for teachers and other staff, because without them, nothing is going to move. And so I thought I will add that there. Thank you.
So when it comes to the political aspect of this, I think that is the key to making sure that everybody stays safe. This should not be a political issue. This is a health issue. And so what I'm hearing from some teachers that call me is they're going to the schools, and teachers who have a different political agenda or thought process are not wearing their mask. And they're basically bullying the other teachers into saying, well, you're the only one who cares about a mask. And so with that kind of mindset, there's no way to keep everybody
Glenda,
safe.
can I add something? Can I add something there? It is irresponsible, in my opinion. Those who are doing that, I mean, if they don't want to wear a mask in their house or, you know, on the street, that is their desire, do whatever. But in a public place like a school, and I think they must be wearing one. And in my opinion, the administration should be looking into it. You have to wear one. Because the thing about it is, it's not about that particular person. It is about much bigger people, much bigger number of people, and they have children, they have adults, and they have even children go home and talk to their grandparents, and they could get it. Children maybe don't get it, but the grandparents and parents or whoever. But my point is, you're absolutely right. It is never should be a political issue. I am so disappointed. People wanted to beat me up because I issued a mask order. And so it's as if like I'm enjoying, everybody's wearing. I don't like to wear a mask, honestly. I have a hard time, breathing when I wear it, but I wear it because that is the right thing to do, the responsible thing to do. But I think in school districts and all, they should demand these people wear masks.
Well, they have a policy. There is a policy on it. And so it's going to take administration to make sure that the administrators at the district, at the campus levels are being held accountable for that. In one instance, it was the administrator who was in charge of the safety committee who was not following the protocol. And so you have to demand and you have to put systems into place that's going to insist and have that accountability at the campus level. You can put everything in place at the administrative level, have all kinds of great intentions, but if it's not working at the campus level, it's not working. And so that's important.
And also another thing, Glenda, this is one thing, teachers, need to understand. And I know I respect and love our teachers. And what they do is noble. But the thing about it is, you need to, every time, that these kiddos are looking up to you. And they're learning from you. And, that the first grade, second grade, everybody wanted to be a teacher. You know that, right? Every child wanted to be a teacher because they love their teachers. And so they're looking up to you. And I think it is only responsible for a teacher to show that, hey, wearing a mask is the safest thing to do. And, that is, you need to be responsible kind of thing. If somebody say, oh, I don't like it, and not just that I don't like it, and even bullying others, in my opinion, that's not okay. That's not acceptable.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
As a parent with a child in Fort Bend schools, I'm also the caretaker for my elderly father with 2 underlying conditions. So speaking about what's happening in the schools with people going in with their political philosophy, as opposed to this really being about health, it concerns me for my daughter to be in that environment, being exposed, and then coming home, because my elderly father does visit with me. And we are interacting with him, and he is seeing her because he has to, because I am his caregiver. And so it may be a different impact on her, but it's what she's bringing here, because I have to engage with both of them. And so I totally agree with everyone here that this has never been about politics. This is really about science, and science is either fact or not. It's either sound or not. It is not a political philosophy. Now,
You're talking so much logic here. I had much more hair 6 months ago. I tell you that. Dealing with this thing on a day, I'm not joking, I had much more hair. And you know, this is something, when you talk to people, you realize how, it scares me how polarized our country is.
Right.
Unbelievable. When it comes to a virus, obviously there is no Republican Democratic virus, you know, but it is, you know, I thought I will throw that there because, you know, logically, yeah, this is, you know, I always said this, in Fort Bend County, we followed the data, the science, and the experts. And if I don't listen, I don't want to listen to Dr. Minter, then I don't know what is the role there, right? Mm-hmm. Because she's the expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. And when she tell me, okay, Judge, this is, because she told me a couple of days ago, Judge, numbers are looking good. I recommend you could downgrade it. Okay, I said, okay, that's the time to do it. And she showed me the reason, and I did it. And unfortunately, that's not what is happening even at a high level in our country. And that's a whole different discussion for another day. But
well, even at the local level, you know, and it's very sad to say that the district has put in some really good policies when it comes to safety protocols. But when you have members of the board who are saying that a supposed red status or you know, questioning the numbers from the government officials, that's just giving rise to encourage those people who are no maskers, you know? And so that's what I mean by we need to take the politics out of this. This is not about politics. We need to stop. We need to stop. We need to take leadership roles. If you're in a leadership role, you need to take that role seriously and think about what the safety of the children and the teachers are, and not what your political beliefs are.
You have to go to the our tax dollars pay for Health and Human Services Department, which is run by Dr. Mentor, reporting into Judge George. We have a staff that's well trained on how to manage this, track this, and provide best practices moving forward. Our tax dollars are there and working as they should. And those tax dollars work for all of us, not in one particular party. And we have to let the experts do their job. I work in IT. I will never call Floresia to tell her how to do her job. Right?
Yeah, but these days that's what is happening, and that's a problem. That's why we are going the other way. I mean, you know, like, because when each day, every morning, first thing I do is I look at the COVID world meter and see where we are. I mean, unfortunately, I have to look at every morning, and I do look. Each time I look at that number, 188,000 people. What does that mean? I was talking to a group of people. I said, think about it in such a way. You know what? City of Sugar Land have 117,000 people. City of Missouri City have 76,000 people. That's 192,000 people. And we are only 4,000 people away. Effectively, we are saying City of Missouri City and Sugar Land, 6 months got wiped out.
Wow.
That's what it means. And so then people say, oh. And so then you say that, you know, in order to extend your political this or that, oh, these numbers are not right. And so unfortunately, I know that wherever I'm sitting at a smaller level, when I say things, people are going to listen to it. And people are going to pay attention to what I'm saying. Some people listen, some people won't. And I have to be careful what I say. Mm-hmm. And so this is just, I tell you, that's absolutely a different day's discussion, but unfortunately became so polarized. But Glenda, I completely agree with you. And, you know, they have to, because they work somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so when I work somewhere, that institution can set the policy, how mm-hmm. they should behave while they are at work. Okay, you go home, once you get in the car, you do whatever you wanted to do. But, you know, when you're there, and that policy need to be enforced, that's where I think, you know, this discussion how to have with the administration, so that effort will trickle down at the campus level.
One thing I would like to say is, as a parent of a student in Fort Bend ISD, it means a lot to me for the educators to be able to work in an environment where they feel safe and comfortable, and they know that they're not exposing their family to something. And I will do all that I can as a parent to ensure that the safety and health of the administrators is first, as well as the children. And so I want to start, because we have to wrap up our time here together. I think I've learned a lot of great information, and I've learned some of the things that I can do, such as working with members of people on this call, as well as members of the community and the school district, to hear firsthand what the challenges we're facing, and then going back to Austin to propose solutions and find a way to fund that. I want to do a round robin of answering the next question. I'll start with Floresia, then we'll go with Glenda and Judge George. And what is needed, in your opinion, for schools to open safely, for the teachers to feel it's safe, for it to be apparent that the children and the parents will feel it's safe? So what do you think is needed? And I don't expect anyone to go to Dr. Mentor's level, because we're not an expert on health and human services, but there are certain things you have to see and know that's happening in order to feel some confidence. So I'll start with you, Floresia.
For me to feel comfortable, one thing is that the numbers continue to go down, that we continue to absolutely have to wear the mask. We have to have the PPEs. That's going to make me feel comfortable. Nobody's going to be happy with either decision that we make, because there's going to be a negative to each thing that we do. So we're virtual, and even when we come back, you got to think about, it'll be the first day of school. So just saying that is a risk when I think about it in my mind, because my former students, my high school students, all of them come back to see me. So do you think that when we get into campus and it's the first day of school, kids are going to want to hug? And what are we going to do? And when we have to explain to them that they can't touch each other, they can't be together, we got to think about their little minds. And so this, it's a negative in the virtual world, and it's a negative when we're together, because even though we'll be together, we won't really be together, because we have to be safe. And so that troubles me at night. How am I going to tell a little kid, no, I can't hug you?
The health aspect of that for children.
Yeah, for children, what is that going to do to them mentally? But I think that I'm anxious to get back to school, because I know that I can grow my kids faster if I'm right there with them. But I'm also nervous, because what I've been hearing from people who are already back on campus, it's not happening. I went to campus even myself, and you're supposed to check in on your Live Well app. You're supposed to get the check mark, and then when you get to the door, you're supposed to get your temperature taken. Nobody was there. We're supposed to have monitors, and I stood there because I'm trying to follow the rule, and because I need all of my materials to get started online. But at the end of the day, I ended up walking down the hall with no check. So that makes me nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So we have systems, but are they going to work? Are they going to work? Are they going to be reinforced?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get so frustrated, because this is a life or death thing. It's not like, I don't like what you think, or I don't like what you think. This is life or death. And I get so frustrated when I see things happening that are not safe. They're not safe. Because at the end of the day, all I really want is for everyone, the kids and the teachers and all the staff, bus drivers, everybody, I want them to be safe, to be able to do their job. And it gets so frustrating when I hear the opposite side of it, because I even have family members who believe the opposite side of this. But I also have family members that have gotten sick, and I've also had a family member that has passed away from this. So I know how real this is. And I get frustrated to the point where I say, okay, fine, whatever. You know what? People will just die, and then by the time everybody dies, and they'll figure it out. But you know what? We can't stop. We can't, that's like giving up. And we can't give up. We can't give up this fight to stay safe, because this is lives. This is not winning a political agenda. These are lives that we have to protect. And, waiting until somebody dies is not right. It's not right. You can't wait until somebody gets sick or somebody dies to make a change. You have to make that change before so that it doesn't happen. And so that's what keeps me going. When I get up in the morning, because I go to bed at night, I'm so frustrated, like sometimes I can't even sleep. When I wake up in the morning, I pray and I'm thinking, okay, God, just give me the strength, give me the wisdom to continue this fight, because it's the lives of our babies and our teachers.
Mm-hmm. You know,
and sir, I just wanted to say, in 2 minutes, I have to get on another, event, and I will just make a comment if you don't mind. You're right. And I hear people saying, comparing, we have 330 million people. We only lost 185,000 or 88,000. And I'm like, obviously your grandfather didn't die. And that's why you feel like percentages make a lot of sense. See, if my mother, 84 years old, living in New York, if she passed away, that's 100% to me, not, 1% or 2%. And so this is like again, coming back to political polarization. And this is something people need to fight. And in my opinion, that's why I said, I am a better person. I started valuing human life more. I always did, but more last 6 months, because after seeing responses, after seeing behavior from different people, different way. And, I read the book called Viktor Frankl's, Man's Search for Meaning. And that book says, put in the same situation, people behaving extremely different ways, the opposite ways. So my point is, thank you for all you do. And we are here. I mean, like I said, I would be able to do certain things. I may not be able to do some things, but at the same time, maybe I could go find somebody else could do that thing, which I cannot do. So because there are so many, nonprofits in our area, and, they are willing to help and all that stuff. And so I'm always here because I love our teachers, because they every day educate our children. Next year, my son, Fort Bend ISD student, is going to be getting out of medical school. He was a Fort Bend ISD student coming out of medical school. How do I put a price tag on what that teacher, his kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade teacher did for him? How do I put a price tag? Okay, X number of dollars, all right? How do I do that? You cannot. And that's the very reason why I love our teachers. I always said this. If I had any power, I pay you guys better. I mean, that's I will. I mean, if it is unilaterally, I could do it because I know what you do is priceless. And so I'm here to help. I'm here to support. Anything I can do, you could reach out to me, and Sarah know my information. Glenda, you have my information, and Floresia, right?
Floresia.
Did I say it right? Yeah. And so you could, if you have any question, definitely Glenda and Sarah know where to find me. And so nice talking to you guys. And I really appreciate all the good work. Sarah, I wish you the very best. And you know that I'm always supportive of what you're trying to do. And you all, please continue your work, because of you guys, I always say this, Fort Bend is a better place. Fort Bend is a better place for our children.
yes.
And that is every day. And I always tell this to teachers, don't think you are a teacher. You are an architect. You are an engineer. You mold that child become whoever he or she is. And so you're not a teacher, in my opinion. You're an architect. You are an engineer. You're so much more than, like, sometimes people say teacher. No, you create our future. And thank you for what you do. And I'm always, my hat's off to you guys. For doing what you do. And I cannot teach. I cannot teach for 30 minutes. I don't think I can do it. But the thing about it, that's why I appreciate you guys. With that, I will sign off respectfully, because I have to get on another call. But thank you for inviting me. And I encourage you to have this kind of discussion, like maybe a quarterly basis. Bring some more teachers or some people. Let's have like a dialogue, like ongoing. Let's say after school open. What is your experience? What is happening? And so I think you should have this conversation maybe at least a quarterly basis so that, it's a better way to communicate with people, and also people thinking, yeah, somebody care about us, somebody care about me. And that's a good feeling. So with that, like I said, I will respectfully sign off and thank you for all the good work and thank you for accommodating me with this. Thank you.
George. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
And